So now that the new Avatar Aang movie is out for people to see, it's finally time to discuss the movie in spoiler detail. I put out a non-spoiler review last week, and there was a lot in that video that I couldn't talk about that I've wanted to discuss with you all who have seen it. This is not going to be a full breakdown of the entire film, but just a discussion around some of the most important stuff I felt was worth addressing. I know it took me a little longer to get the video out, but I also wanted to give people some time to see it first, since not everyone around the world has the ability to watch it. I look forward to hearing your thoughts, but first, if you can, drop a like on the video. I would really appreciate that. It'll help put it into the YouTube algorithm, and I want to get as many Avatar fans in here as possible to discuss this movie. The first point of conversation relates to something that I've wanted to talk about for years, even after I did a second watch of The Legend of Korra during COVID. And I think there are a lot of Avatar fans out there who will probably relate a lot to this question. Is Avatar too anime now? The reason I ask is due to some of the stuff relating to the spirit world in this movie, as well as the final huge fight that happens in Republic City when everyone comes to fight Tagah before he brings everything down on the world using the staff Aang uncovered. A huge component of this major fight is the fact that he uses the staff to give himself godly powers that turn him into this hulking brute who is bigger, stronger, and more menacing looking. From the point of view of the spirit world, for those of you who watched my non-spoiler review, you know that I referenced the scene where they jump into a portal to get into the spirit world in order to help them get back to Republic City. That scene is one I really did not like because I felt it was too silly and too weird. A part of me wonders if I could add that sequence into the question of if this franchise is becoming too anime. Where does a world like this draw the line into not losing its identity by not becoming another genre or maybe overstepping itself and embracing being too much of the genre it represents? I've always been a staunch defender of this idea that the original Last Airbender cartoon, and I guess The Legend of Korra for that matter, is not an anime. I know there are some people who do think it is one, but I never really felt that. Yes, these shows have anime-isms in them when they do stuff like humor and whatnot. But the show to me has always felt just grounded enough that it didn't delve into that territory of what you would see in most anime. Probably the one anime I've seen most people bring up when they say that Avatar has basically become that is Dragon Ball Z, at least from an action standpoint. Now, I should also make this clear. I have never watched a full season of any anime before. It's never been my kind of thing to watch. And so, in that case, I leave the knowledge of anime to those watching this video and can explain it better for me how you could answer that question in the most simplest way possible. I've seen enough clips from some anime to know that Avatar feels like it's going down that direction. The final fight and the spirit world sequence are the movie's biggest examples for that. A show like The Legend of Korra even started going down that path with a lot of examples, including the spirit stuff, given how integral it is to that story. It didn't matter if it was following the times that we actually went into the spirit world to meet the spirits, or if it was when stuff got into the outside world and we saw these major kaiju-like fights between Korra and giant spirit beings for everyone to see. Even the final fights in Season 4, when they are going after the giant mech robot using Spirit Vine energy to destroy everything, that just feels like it's straight right out of an anime. If you go back and look at The Last Airbender, it certainly kept the feeling of the world more grounded. But perhaps, looking back on it, that's only because of the fact that we saw something for just how new it was, and we didn't fully know what else was out there to grasp. Korra, and now the Avatar Aang movie, takes swings with doing this stuff and trying to expand upon what the creators think the world is. Korra and Avatar Aang both had the luxury to give us more of the world-building stuff where The Last Airbender doesn't really get a chance to do that, because we are so focused on this story of following a kid who is born into a world he doesn't recognize because he has to go and stop somebody from destroying it all. Legend of Korra and this movie are so separated from that kind of stuff, and so perhaps that adds to it, but I'm definitely going to be curious to see your answers in the comments, and please do educate me on anime lore so that I can understand if my question makes sense. Now for me, what offered up the most amount of interest is of course everything to do with how this movie built on the world of Avatar through the characters of Tagah and Avatar Sonam. For us as fans, It is a breath of fresh air to see something new actually be explored in the universe, especially from a time in which hasn't been shown yet. These two characters are very old, and so with what we are able to get from it, I am still interested enough to learn more. One of the backdrops to the conflict of this film is the fact that these two characters did not fall on the same side of how they viewed the world. Sonam was able to use her staff to harness spiritual energy, which gave her the ability to grant the power of airbending to the air nomads. Just speaking to what that staff is able to do, I know that fans might be a little taken aback by the fact that this magical staff can do this, given the lion turtles were supposed to be the only things in existence that could give people the ability to bend. Once we learned that she actually created the staff using knowledge of energy bending from the lion turtles and kept it hidden inside of a dead lion turtle skeleton, then it all started to make sense. There is a rhyme and a reason for why the staff exists, and I appreciate that the movie does this because I've seen a handful of movies where this kind of plot device is not done so well. I don't know why, but the first one that came to my mind is how the live-action Transformers movies from Michael Bay handled those kinds of plot devices, where just about every movie he made included some type of artifact that could be used to either destroy the world or give the Decepticons unlimited power to do whatever they wanted to, including bringing Cybertron to Earth. Sonam's staff is actually treated with a lot more respect to feel like it can be something that could exist. It also makes her as an avatar seem way more interesting with that kind of power that she could hold, and this is where a character like Tagah comes in. During his time, the Earth Kingdom acted like how the Fire Nation did during Aang's time and was all about taking over and starting a war with the air nomads. So Tagah took it upon himself to seek vengeance for all the destruction that had been caused, and he stole her staff. In doing so, she hunted him down, took it back, and sealed him away in a shell of ice. She then locked the staff away in a lion turtle to where only an avatar could access it, and that meant she wanted a future avatar to find it so that the population of air nomads could be restored. Now that Aang has a discovery of what this staff can do, I thought it would actually make the plot a lot more interesting to align with what the conflict is between him and Tagah, because once he starts learning more about where the world is now in Aang's time, I think it makes him even more mad, and so the ability to reason with him is completely out the window. The only part that sucks about all of this conflict is the fact that, as I mentioned in my non-spoiler review, I think this movie either needed to be a little longer or they should have just turned this into the Last Airbender Season 4. I feel like there is much more that could have been added in to really give this character the ability to potentially be the best villain in all of Avatar. And just so that I'm clear, I know that saying that is a bit of a stretch given the other villains and antagonists we've seen in this franchise so far, but given how close people feel to that original cartoon and how they know one of the biggest conflicts to a character like Aang is the fact that he is the only air nomad left, it puts him in between a rock and a hard place. He's juggling the option of defeating Tagah and losing the ability to give people airbending, or he could keep that staff, but perhaps Tagah would hunt him down for the rest of time until he got it back, so that he could bring the world down under him. So as much as I know that the story as a whole can feel a little basic for some people, I think the conflict is perfect for both the antagonist and our main character, because it is personal for them. They both believe they are doing the right thing, and that makes your antagonist especially really good if it comes off the page in the right way. I know this might be a hot take to make already, but I do genuinely believe that this is already going to put characters like Tagah and Avatar Sonam up there as two of the most interesting characters we've gotten in this universe so far. I do want to learn more, and so I'm wondering if we ever do get more from them, if their time period of 5,000 years ago ever gets another film or a television series, or maybe even a comic. Let me know what you all think. What kind of story would you like to see be made around that, if you had your wish to give for it? I want to start this next section of the video by referencing a review from a popular YouTuber named Moist Critical. If I had to wager, I would almost guarantee that many of you watching this video know who he is, and watch his videos either every day or just casually on and off. I tend to find the videos he makes that review movies and TV shows the ones I disagree with the most on. If that didn't make it obvious for why I'm bringing him up, it's because he did review this movie, and I made sure to watch his review. One of the points in his video that I thought was being a little exaggerated with, and I didn't really agree with fully, is how he views Team Avatar. He said that he doesn't believe Team Avatar actually feels like Team Avatar anymore, in the sense that they don't talk to each other like they are friends or act like they're friends with each other. Charlie does tend to do this a lot in his reviews, where he will sometimes take one negative point he had with a movie or show and paint it to feel like it's worse than what it actually is and exaggerate on that. While I understand his points about Team Avatar in this movie, I don't think it is as bad as he made it out to be. The reason I jump on this specific part of his review is because one of the reasons why the original Last Airbender cartoon works so well for people is because of the characters, because of Team Avatar, who we follow in every episode. We as a fandom have become so attached to these characters, and so whenever you get a story of them working together to do something, you really want them to feel like they are a family or just a really good group of friends. This aspect of the film is a criticism for me, but I'm just bringing up Charlie because I don't think the way he says it is the way I would look at it. The way I would look at it is just the fact that these characters are not given enough time at all, and let's just be completely real about that. I know I've harped on it enough, but this movie is just way too short. There should have been at least 30 minutes added on, and you could probably have cut a couple of scenes out, like the Spirit World scene where everyone jumps into the portal and starts turning all weird and whatnot. One of the reported deleted scenes was actually a scene featuring Suki, and I know that a lot of fans think that this character has been mistreated over the years because they don't include her enough, but here's how I look at it. While I don't think she's necessarily going to be on Team Avatar, considering what her role in society is as a Kyoshi warrior, I do think she should be included more in their stories. She is included a lot in the original cartoon, and I think how much she's included should be enough for her to at least be given 1 or 2 scenes instead of her just showing up on screen for 2 seconds at the end of the film while she's walking around in Republic City with the other Kyoshi warriors. There is even another reported deleted scene where Katara actually was going to be pregnant. Now, I don't think I necessarily needed Katara to be pregnant in this movie just yet with their first child. I do think that you could have at least hinted to something like that and build more on her relationship with Aang. Katara is the Lois to Aang's Clark Kent/Superman. These two characters can't do anything without each other because they love each other so much, and we as fans really love their relationship. A 10 to 12 episode season of 30 to 45 minute episodes could really have solved some of these issues that I have with the pacing and the lack of narrative to us being caught up with these people that we have been following for over 20 years. If it is possible, I would certainly love to see another Team Avatar movie with them around this age range. And this leads us into the final part of this video, which is to discuss whether or not any other stories can be told around this movie and what it establishes. The movie ends with Tagah, of course, being defeated, and now Aang has formed a group of air acolytes to help him bring forth the next generation of air nomads. One of the first stops they take on a trip to go out and search for more is to an abandoned temple that Sonam told him about. While there, they discover that the air bison did not in fact go extinct like he and Appa had previously thought. There are plenty still roaming around, and as we know, the bison are very important to that culture. That's how the movie ends, and it gives you a look into what Aang plans to do for a good portion of his life as he grows up to be an adult, have his kids, and establish what we know happens in Legend of Korra. But again, who's to say that they can't tell another story with this team around this time period? I think there is a lot they can do from that perspective, and as I mentioned earlier, I still also think there is some stuff they could do by going back in the past and exploring the other new characters. The Avatar universe might feel small because of how much we've been given over the last 20 plus years, but I know there is so much more they could do to make it big. And another question I would have is how they plan to tell those stories on the big screen. We know that we are getting the brand new Seven Havens show in October, taking place after The Legend of Korra. But are there other stories you would like to see be told in movie format or TV show format? I think if they do ever make another movie, they have to refine it a little bit more to feel like it should earn the right to be a movie. Not including the fact that this, of course, didn't get a theatrical release, which in my mind, the Avatar franchise has earned the respect to be given a theatrical release. But that's neither here nor there. We've had this discussion 1,000 times already. For me, all I want to know is what you, the fans, feel about that. So drop your answers in the comments below and let me know. And with that being said, I'm going to end the video there. That is everything I wanted to talk about in terms of spoilers for this movie. What do you think of the stuff that I mentioned in this breakdown? If you did enjoy the video and you want to see more, be sure to give it a like, and if you are new to this channel, subscribe and turn on that notification bell. Thank you all so much for stopping by Uncle Iroh's Tea Shop. I hope everyone here has a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all soon for more Avatar.